Saturday you were talking about the difficult times you had in those years you spent in San Pedro. You explained that you and Manny had first gone into the meat market there, and that later when the store became available, the grocery store, that the old man Goldberger and Milton Spiegel and Manny, you formed a four-way partnership for the whole store.
Also,
And do you remember why it was such a difficult time for you?
well, for one, my idea was to take home enough money to live comfortably from the store. Milt's idea was to accumulate a lot of merchandise for the Yeti. So we took home the minimum amount. Well, the minimum amount for Goldbergers was plenty to live on. For Manny, it wasn't too bad, but for me, it wasn't enough. I didn't come home enough to pay my bills.
Did it cause any tensions between you and Mother?
Well, I didn't have to cause tension between us. She kept on asking me, and I knew that. Where are we going to get the money to pay those bills? So I told the partner, I says, look, we'll have to start splitting. I need more money. I can't live on what we're taking home. So once in a while they throw up another $100 to divide, between the four of us, extra $100, extra $100. But that wasn't enough. Being that we built up a merchant fisheries, we have these commercial fisheries. We had about 10, 12 of them. Well, about 3, 4 of them went bankrupt. And it took a trip down to South America for tuna, and they came back empty. They didn't catch any. They used all the food out. Every time they went out, they took along a couple of $1,000s worth of food. We supplied them with rice and bacon, meats, and so forth, that we had to supply the boats on credit. When they came back with a full load, they would pay up everybody. But when 3, 4 of them declared bankrupt, we were stuck. And naturally, my business wasn't so good, and the feelings I had, and the feelings especially with Milton and the old man and even Manny, wasn't too congenial. I would have to drive. We changed every week. We took a different car to drive out. We drove in together. We came home together. One car, the 4 of us. And Manny used to go out to buy the fruit and vegetables early in the morning. Then when Manny took sick, I think he had a heart attack or something, then I had to go and do that. Milton also was a butcher. And the old man, we had one woman working there, a girl who was checkout and cashier. And Milt was a very smart aleck. He had eyes all over. He thought that I was cheating him. And anyway, he showed a distrust. When there's distrust between partners, it creates a bad feeling. For the past, about 6 months or a year, I came into that store feeling like I'm going to jail. It was plain miserable for me to go in with them. I just couldn't look at them in the face, they couldn't see me. And this was getting worse. So Milton came up to me and said, Sid, he says, I know you dislike it. Dislike the whole goddamn business. And so do I. I'll tell you what I'll do. He says, I'll take or I'll give $2,000. Either you get out or I get out. My original investment was about $16,000. I looked at him, I said, Milt, I think that's a bargain, I'll get out. Because my health is worth more to me than the damn money than the aggravation I'm going through here. I'll get out. I took $2,000 and walked out of there. And with these $2,000, I started to look for another business. What kind of business can I buy with $2,000? But I had a good credit though. I had a good credit from all these merchants that I dealt with, the meat business, the grocery business, and so forth. I established a good credit, especially meat. The only thing I could go in was another butcher shop. So I started to look around, either for a butcher shop or a chicken store or something. And Chuck Anton, he had a few days off. He came out, he was changing business at that time. Anyway, we drove around with him, looking around for a place where to open. There was a couple of places advertised in Gardenia that we looked at. Barbecue chicken. It wasn't what I didn't think it was anything worthwhile. Then we finally, I found an empty store. I don't remember George Swatman, the one who owned the corner store on, right on the corner of Hawthorne and El Segundo, right next to that near beer joint. And there was a restaurant that opened up next to it. There was a barber shop. Do you remember those days?
Oh, I remember it very well. There was an Orange Julius next door.
Or Julius next door.
Originally there was at the corner there was a gas station.
A gas station, that's
and
right.
Next to the Orange Julius was your store.
That's
and then
right.
Next to your store, which is all about 12 feet wide as I remember, or 15 feet wide, is very narrow.
That's all.
Was the Katie's...
Katie's Inn, and that was the barber shop.
Right. The Katie's Inn was sort of behind the barber shop.
Behind the barber, was it right?
Well, the barber shop was sort of in front of it. There was a long, narrow entrance into Katie's Inn, which had the back of the park. I remember that, yeah.
All right. That's where we started.
That was 1954?
1953, I believe it was.
Well, it had to be 54, Dad, because I know I was 16 years old at the
Oh,
time.
54, that's right. In 54. Well, I wasn't there more than a few months when I noticed that, oh yes, while I was looking around for the chicken, the barbecue chicken and so forth, that was when the first fad started, barbecue chicken, there was a store in Gardenia that had a rotisserie that she bought, and she owed the Bank of America the payments of $9 a month. How much she paid on, I don't know. But she begged me, all she do is take the payments over, and I can have the barbecue. That little 3-spit barbecue, that's what I put in the window for the butcher shop. I wanted to have something in that window to notice that I was in the meat business. So I took out that barbecue chicken. I was making barbecue chicken and ribs. And I installed it immediately. And I fixed up a nice butcher shop with Rocky's beef and before long I found out that my business became the gag, and the chicken business, the one that I bought for a gag to display in the window, that became the business. For every chicken I had cooking over there, I had 10 customers for it. The same thing with the ribs. Meantime, I had to keep on paying every month the bills for the pictures that I bought. So I went back to this picture man, and I told him that I'd like to change it, my pictures for barbecue pictures. Oh yes, before that happened, Swatman came in one day. He says, Sid, he says, I can only give you 1 year lease now. He says, because I sold the building. They want to tear the building down, but I have a place for you to go to. 2 blocks down on 132nd Street, Mr. Brown. There used to be right on that corner, the A1 Supply.
Office supplies.
Office supplies, you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they moved out because the place was too small. And you can have it for a very good rental. And I know Mr. Brown very well. And I recommend it to you very highly. I'll bring him in and you talk to him. Which he did. So when he came in, and he encouraged me, he says, come in. I'll play with you any way you want to. I think the rent was $200 a month, where I used to pay $125 for Swatman. $200 a month. So I'll give you a 5-year lease.
That was late 1957, wasn't it?
No. That was in 54, 55.
Well, you moved, I think it was January 58.
56.
56, huh?
Yes, I was in 56.
January 56, you moved to Hawthorne.
Hawthorne, sure. That's when I moved to the big place.
Yeah, at 132nd Street where the store is now.
Right. 150, it was 1956 when I moved in there. So I went in there, and I went back to the picture people, and they gave me credit for the block and for that band saw that I had, you know, meat saw, and a couple of showcases, and they gave me a different case. They gave me a hot table for it, remember?
Yeah, steam table.
Steam table for it, and I got some other fixtures for the front, and then I went ahead and bought the rotisserie.
Double rotisseries you had in the back.
That I bought from Schreiber, what's the name of it?
I think so. Bullshit Sham Schreiber.
Yeah, that's right, Schreiber.
They never would tell the truth no matter what.
Yeah, that's right.
It was 6'7" or 6'10", something like that.
So 2 brothers.
Yeah.
They were builders over there. I'll never forget, I made a deal with him, and after he brought him in, before he took him off the truck, I gave him a check. He wanted a check. Then he ran with a check over to the bank to cash it first, before he even opened the door to bring the truck, the stuff down. He took the check to cash it first.
Yeah, that was the way he would do business, give people bad checks, so he assumed other people did business that way.
That's exactly what happened. Well, it was a new start for me. And I guess that was a very fortunate, good start. Within a short time, I didn't need a butcher, of course, because I had to have a union butcher. And I didn't need a butcher. The only thing I kept was the walk-in box. Remember that walk-in box, which is still there? I kept that. And the sinks I kept. And I established myself in that store. Within 6 months' time, I needed help already. Although I had help from Mother, and I had help from you and Sherman, remember?
And Phyllis.
And Phyllis, the weekends. I hired a girl, what was her name now? The Swedish girl, I forgot the name. Anyway, the policeman happened to became a good friend with an officer that was on the beat. He says, I have the right girl for you. Who knew how, she was a waitress, and she knew how to handle customers. And sure enough, I hired her. Then I hired a boy, what was his name? I hired him for years after that.
Cliff?
No, not Cliff. His mother was Japanese.
Oh, I know who you mean, Tommy. I think it was Tommy, a big, heavy boy. Yeah, wonderful young guy.
Wonderful young guy, yes. He wasn't too bright, but he was very conscientious worker. And I started to buy the beef. I stopped buying whole beef because I bought briskets from Rockty, where I used to use whole half a beef and so forth. I thought I could use it. I could only use briskets and rounds, bonus rounds. And once in a while I bought short ribs and so forth from Rockty. And I used to get 40, 50 briskets a week. I used to bone them out myself, roll it. I used to have a lot of hamburger meat, you remember?
I remember.
Fats, they used to come and pick them up once a week or twice a week, the barrel. They used to come pick the bones and fats off from there. Then I had very big barrels of pickles. Then I had to handle cold sodas. Had to buy a fountain, for I used to handle bottled pop at that time, it was, I think, bottles. So I handled bottle of sodas, all the sodas and that. Had also an ice cream freezer where I kept frozen stuff that I had to freeze, it shouldn't spoil. Like if I overcooked the meats, I didn't want it to hang in a box, so I froze it. And then when I needed it, I took it out the day before and to thaw it out and heat it again. And that's where my luck turned. Of course, you remember, for the first 5 years, I worked there from 8 to 9 every day, 7 days a week. And I started to advertise a lot. Used to throw out those flyers, remember? Used to have the boys, I used to pay them $25 or $50, and they would walk down the middle of the street where there was parking and put those flyers into every window. I had a couple of customers come and threaten me they'll break my window to find another flyer in their car. But it came in anyway. They used to give away, for every 2 chickens I sold, I used to give away maybe 2 servings of coleslaw, potato salad, macaroni salad. That's when I got a hold of Danny Sanchez. He started to supply me with potato salad and coleslaw and beans and all that stuff that came with it. And also, of course, I also changed one of the fixtures for that purpose. I had double one, the bottom and top. The bottom where I kept the merchandise, and the top where I made on my displays. Well, it worked up to a point where when it came on a Thursday or Friday, Danny would bring a whole load of stuffed drop it off at my store. I had to pack it up in the bag. And of course I'd get a good price. And a lot of those little stores that used 1 or 2 packages a week, he didn't want to deliver it. So they come over to me and they bought it for me. I would make 50 cents on a deal. That's all I would give them. Because he did give me off after, if I bought, say, a dozen of potato salad, they'd give me 1 free. If I bought 2 dozen, they'd give me 2 free. So I never bought less than 3, 4 dozen at a time. He made 2 deliveries a week. You know, Friday was the big delivery, or Thursday, either Thursday or Friday was the big delivery. I used to drop off 3, 4 dozen of each. The place, that little icebox, you could walk right in. I barely walk in. It was so loaded. I used to sell an awful lot of that stuff. And of course, with the help of you children, helped me. I was able to send you to school. I was able to help you to buy a car, everything that I accomplished was after I went into that corner store. That was my lucky star. Of course, at the end, Mr. Brown was very lucky, very good to me. He offered to will me the store, if you remember right. Well, he took sick, and Mrs. Brown used to come around to collect, and she offered it, but the poor woman went out of her mind. And I wanted to buy the place from her. She said, "Why buy it? I'll give it to you." I said, "I don't want it for nothing, Mrs. Brown. I want to buy it." And Jack was also one. He went after her to buy it too.
Are you talking about Jack Moore, the jeweler
Jack
was
Moore.
next door?
She didn't like him so much. He became a councilman in the later part of the years. And the taxes went up, and she blamed him for it.
That sounds like Mrs. Brown.
Yeah, and then she liked Larry. She promised Larry the building. You know, she was already off her mind.
That's Larry the barber.
Larry the barber. Then one day, Moore said to me, "Sid, let's both of us go to talk to Mrs. Brown." Because I used to take after she couldn't come no more, you know, she couldn't drive no more, she asked me to drop the checks off to her, for her at her house, which I did. She had another house on Moreno Street someplace. We used to go there at the end of the first of the month to give it a check. They, on the other hand, sent it in, mailed it in. I didn't. I drove in there. She always complained that he stole the checks, and that she never got the mail, and then somebody robbed the mail, and this and that. How much truth there was in it, I don't know. There's a few checks that I gave her, she never cashed either, if you remember. She never cashed them either. Meantime, I had added quite a more help. And I had, let's see, Cliff was working for me for quite a number of years. After that, I had that, what was that Arab boy's name? That
I don't remember him.
I don't remember either. He was from, I don't know, I think he was a Lebanese fellow. He was a Christian Lebanese fellow. He was a manager, and I had another manager, and I kept on changing help. Cliff wanted to become a Teamster. He joined the union and became a Teamster. He was a pretty good worker. He was a loudmouth. was fired, and he went into the car. He bought a gasoline station. It's all with fixing, car fixing and so on. That was his business there. He went in there. And then I had another Jewish boy. He was a gunner. He worked for me for 2 months or 3 months. He asked me for a weekend off to go to Las Vegas. He saved up enough money. So I said, all right, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, be back. He left. Saturday night I got a call. Sid, I went broke. I need $200. Please send me so I can pay my bill and have fare to come home. I'll see you tomorrow morning, Sunday. I said, okay. Sunday he called Cliff. He told Cliff the same story, but he shouldn't tell me that. Cliff just to send him $150 because the money that he got from me he lost. Cliff didn't want actually told him not to say anything. Fine, he didn't say anything. Sunday he didn't show up. I expected him Sunday morning, he didn't show up. Monday morning I got a call. Police called from Las Vegas. Is this and this guy working for you? I said, yes. Well, if you send in $300, you can have him back. I said, I will send him 3 cents. Keep him there. Keep him there. I don't want any part of him. And Cliff heard it. He said, oh, I sent him $150, so I'm not supposed to tell you that. That's the experience I had. Another time I had this Arab boy that worked for me. He opened up that business, bar, beer business, where he had these girls, strippers, dancing.
Oh yeah, a beer bar.
Beer bar.
With dancing girls, I remember, yes. It was like in Inglewood they opened it.
That's right. You had never a partner, and I supplied him with merchandise. I had a lot of those factories in there that I supplied merchandise. And when I had to deliver, remember, we used to have that, especially when he was working for me, he had a station wagon. He loaded 40, 50 dinners, Cliff, and delivered the dinners to the station wagon with a station wagon. And one time I had to have 3, 4 wagons to go all over to deliver these dinners. To these different factories, they didn't have that time kitchens at that time. They bought it from the trucks, from that.
The vendors that would drive those trucks, yeah.
Yes, and I delivered out the chicken dinners. That's where I made my money. That's where I really started the big business. That's what I had at one time. During the week I had 6 help, besides the youth kids.
6 help.
Yes.
Gee, I don't remember that many, but
Well, I had 2 boys.
I guess so. 2 boys and Cliff and the man and.
Cliff and a man and a woman. Then I was there, and Mom came there in the afternoon. And especially when he came before the holiday, you, and not Sherman so much, but you and
Phyllis.
I remember even my sisters came in once to help me. I had so many turkeys to cook, and I still got that mixed up. If it wasn't a turkey, I had so many turkeys that I didn't know which was which already. That was an exciting business. And of course, after a while, Gene came to work for me as a manager. I think he worked for me for about 10, 12 years.
Before you sold out to him.
Before I sold out then. I think that was the time when Phyllis got married.
Well, Phyllis has been married since It's gotta be the late 1960s. She was like 67 when she got married, 1967, around there.
Yeah. I think
Or even
17.
before.
Huh?
Even before then.
Before that, yeah. So, he was interested in the business. I remember I made him a partner